Welcome to Catholic Mom Talks. Saint Teresa of Avila was a mystic. Okay, she's one of the doctors of the church, one of the female doctors of the Catholic Church, and she is something else, right? She delves into the spiritual reality that often we don't perceive, and by that I mean she looks at the journey towards God. And in her book called Interior Castles, the castle symbolizes the soul, okay? And there's a moat, and then she describes there are evils or temptations on the outside of the castle trying to prevent the soul from entering the castle. Isn't that the truth? And how many times do we get closer to God and we get into this battle, right? This spiritual battle that keeps trying to pull us away from God, right? I think maybe the enemy presented this to me a lot too. Well, if you give your life to God, he'll require too much of you and you won't be in control of your life, right? Okay, that's the enemy speaking, right? Well, he tries to get you distracted. Yeah. Don't go to church on Sunday, right? You have too much going on. I'm tired. I worked all week. I'm exhausted, right? I don't need to go to Mass. I can just talk to God in my heart, right? Well, that's not what God wanted. God said, keep holy the Sabbath day. Our objective as Catholics should be that we strive to be with Christ on Sunday. That should be our time, our hour with him in the Holy Eucharist, where we make that connection. Because without him, it's kind of like getting refueled at the gas station, right? We're going to run out of gas. We're not going to be able to keep going spiritually unless we make that connection. Anyway, going back to St. Teresa of Avila, this castle, right? The journey, many rooms in the castle. We have to overcome vices, trials, things like that get us closer and closer and closer to the center of the castle, which is Jesus, union with Christ, living in complete and total union with Christ. Now, we can do that. And how are we going to do that, right? We're going to do that by living out the gospel message, number one, living a faithful life to God, being totally dedicated to God. Our lives belong to him, right? Which means, okay, we have to break away all that is false in ourselves, right? We have to break away from our attachments, our inordinate attachments, okay? Evils that maybe we don't want to give up, right? That could be anything. I mean, it could be anything. It could be, pornography, any kind of sin. We have to break away from sin because we're on a different journey. We're on a different journey. The enemy's going to promise you everything. He's going to give you absolutely nothing in return. He's going to tell you, oh, you'll find love if you do this. No, you will not find love. You'll only find love if you find Christ. Because Christ is the source of love. Okay? Lust is not love. Okay? It's not love. Never could be, ever. It's a mockery of love. The enemy likes to mock real love. Okay? He likes to mock it. And I'm not talking about our sexuality because God made us beautiful in it. We're called to love, fall in love, and give ourselves to one another in our marriages, right? And it's sacred. Oh my gosh, it is sacred. It is holy. It is of God. But it cannot be misused. Because if you don't really make that commitment with God and that other person, you're not really loving that person. You're using that person. Okay, so I don't know, I'm getting off the track. But anyway, our goal is to be separated from the things that hold us back, which is sin. Unite ourselves into Christ in total intimacy in a life in the sacraments, right? And what that's going to do is that is going to put you in the presence of God's presence within you. Okay? God just didn't exist 2,000 years ago. He is present in the here and the now. And when you are living a life in God, he's here. So even though we're going through these horrific trials, even though we might be suffering horribly, the God of the universe, the second person of the Trinity, is accessible. He's tangible. Not only is he tangible spiritually, but he's tangible physically in the Holy Eucharist. There's no greater intimacy with God than the Eucharist. Those are my thoughts for today. If you can run to Jesus, maybe you're at work and you're having a bad day. Maybe you need to make a trip to the Eucharist and sit in front of him and just talk to him. Maybe you don't know what to say. Just sit there and listen. He will come. He will transform you. He will renew you. He will strengthen you. And he will give you joy and new life. Thanks so much for listening. God bless everybody.